Hello, Green Bay. Thank you for coming out today. First, I want to thank our friend Jerry Danforth for the invocation and our friend Ken Charles for leading the Pledge of Allegiance. We thank you for your help. You know, you've heard a lot of different polls out there, the Gallup poll, the Marist poll, all the different polls. Well, I just took the Feingold poll at the McDonald's in Beaver Dam. One undecided, one for McCain, and 3 for Barack Obama. Now, you all know that you hold this election in your hands. You know that we just barely won this state for our friend Al Gore in 2000. We just barely won this state for John Kerry in 2004, but we did the job, so it's not going to be easy. But this Obama organization is the best organization we have ever seen in the state of Wisconsin. Have a Democratic Party headquarters in Pepin, Wisconsin. This doesn't happen all the time. I talked to 500 volunteers on the phone the other night who are all working for this wonderful campaign. But remember, as you get to those last few hours, when I was first elected to the Wisconsin State Senate, I was only elected by 31 votes out of 47,000. It could come down to that. I knocked on doors in the rain that last afternoon. You may need to do the same. Don't forget, it's up to you and this organization. Now, we are here today to talk about who will reform this country. That's the question. And we know that Barack Obama has been effective and that he works on a bipartisan basis, but I'll tell you something. I heard Governor Palin's speech at the Republican convention. Well, I enjoyed the speech, but she said something that really bugged me. She said that Barack Obama had never passed a single major law or reform. You know what? That is absolutely false. It is a pure falsehood. And I know that from his work in the Illinois State Senate. I've talked to many legislators there, Republican and Democrat, about all the work he did there. Richard Lugar, a Republican from Indiana, worked with Barack Obama to pass major legislation on nuclear proliferation. He worked with Tom Coburn on trying to stop and make sure we knew about these earmarks. All of this he did in the United States Senate. But I know something else because I worked with him on it. He and I together worked on the lobbying and ethics reform law after the Abramoff scandal. They were abusing the use of corporate jets. They were getting free skyboxes at the Redskins games, even though that's not as valuable as a Packers skybox. They were going down to K Street right after they were members of Congress right away and getting a $500,000 a year job. We wrote a bill together to deal with that. And you know, Barack Obama could have just put his name on it, said, all right, fine, I got my name on it, worry about it later. That's not what he did. He worked every day with me on the floor of the Senate with Republicans and Democrats to pass a strong law. In fact, one day he came out of the Capitol and saw me and said, I just got yelled at by a couple of Democrats about these provisions. He said, but I stood my ground. And he did. So he was principled and effective, and he passed this bill. And if you don't believe me, ask all the major groups, such as Common Cause, who say it is the strongest ethics and lobbying law in the history of this country. You know what, Sarah Palin? That's a real accomplishment. That's a real law. That is something for which Barack Obama should be credited. And now we have to reform this financial system of ours. the first thing we look to is whether people made sense and voted right in the first place. We, of course, know that when it comes to Iraq, where John McCain talks a lot about how he's fixed it after the fact, but he didn't vote right in the first place, and Barack Obama knew to be against the Iraq war in the first place. But this applies to the financial system. John McCain's talking tough now, but he voted for all this deregulation stuff. He voted for the laws that put us in this place in the first place. And he has supported privatizing Social Security, putting your Social Security at the hands of Wall Street. That doesn't sound like a very good idea to me. So what's his answer now? Let's fire somebody. Let's appoint a commission. Well, I got to tell you, it's about real reform. It's about really doing something about this problem, and there's no contest when it comes to this. So I'll be voting for the guy who is really going to bring us health care reform. I'll be voting for the guy who's going to really get us away from dependence on oil and go to alternative energy. I'll be voting for the guy who's going to bring us fair trade agreements and stop shipping jobs overseas. And I'll be voting for the man who will bring real reform to Washington. And that's why I'm so happy to introduce the next President of the United States, Barack Obama.